All right, we're on.
Oh my God. Hi, Alice.
Hey, Freebo.
Here we are in Cambridge, Massachusetts at the home of my cousin Barbara.
Who is our audience of one.
Audience of one, and we want to thank you for allowing us to use your living room. And
You'll
mess
hear
it
her
up.
clapping in the background.
We'll be out of here before midnight, we promise.
We promise. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We are so excited to bring you our very special guest tonight, the amazing blues singer and songwriter and guitar picker and slide player, Rory Block. And we're going to bring her in right now.
Right now. That's why I have my headphones on. I don't have any echo.
Rory!
Hey.
Hi!
Hey, Rory. How you doing?
Good, great. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Our pleasure. We're so happy that this all worked, and we've checked our sound, and so far we're doing well.
Yeah.
Where in the world, where are you in the United States? What state are you in?
We're in the great state of Kentucky.
Kentucky?
Yeah.
Aha.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool. And what's the weather like over there this evening?
It's about as perfect as it could be. Nice and cool, clear, just really spectacular.
How lovely.
And, nice, not too cold, just nice fall day.
Oh,
well, it's the first official day of fall.
That's right.
It's beautiful here in Cambridge. It's about 70 degrees and clear. It's gorgeous today.
Perfect.
That's nice.
Well, Rory, we're just so happy you could be here. We're hoping you can start us off with some music.
Would love to do that. Now, I'm going to pop my headphones off, but while I'm
go for it.
doing the intro, I'm going to do a Robert Johnson song.
Excellent.
And, of course, this one is well known. It's called Crossroad Blues.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see what I can do for you guys.
All right. Great.
I went to the crossroad, fell down on my knees. I went to the crossroad, fell down on my knees. Asked the Lord above for mercy. Yeah, poor gal, if you please. Standing at the crossroad, I tried to flag a ride. Well, standing at the crossroad, babe, I tried to flag a ride. Well, ain't nobody seem to know me. Everybody passing me by. Sun gone down, boys. Dark don't catch me here. Well, dark don't catch me here. Ain't got no other sweet man now. Oh, to feel my kill. Now you can run. Tell my friend poor Willie Brown. Now you can run. Tell my friend poor Willie Brown. I'm standing at the crossroad, baby. I believe I'm sinking down.
Woo!
Oh, wow, that was great. Well,
Love
tell you,
that.
Rory, it's so interesting for me. I mean, I grew up in a little coal town in Pennsylvania, and then when I finally learned blues, it was straight 12-bar blues, and bit by bit I started getting into the real stuff, and of course Bonnie Raitt turned me on to the real stuff, and I could tell that you have really studied that. I mean, you ain't playing 12-bar blues. I mean, you just kind of doing it the way they did and just kind of doing what feels right. And when you feel like singing, you sing. And when you feel like going to another chord, you do. And it's so authentic. How did you, I mean, what made you get into that in the first place? I mean, you know, where'd you grow up, and when did blues come into your reality?
How'd you learn to play like that, girl?
And how'd you learn to play?
House actually asked me that very question. It's an interesting thing to be growing up in New York City and have the right place to meet all these rediscovered blues masters. I mean, we all know that the 60s was just an absolute melting pot of phenomenal music, and there were country artists, there were blues artists, there were the roots artists were coming through at the same time that the young Bob Dylan lived right 2 doors away from the Alice Block sandal shop. That was my dad's place in Greenwich Village. And people would come by with their fiddles and their banjos. I mean, people who were making, who were charting and at the forefront of so many different styles of music were always coming up West 4th Street and Jones Street. And, John Lennon had an apartment half a block away. I mean, it was really...
Oh, my God.
And John Sebastian and Maria Muldaur, and they were all just releasing their hit records, and it was just the place to be. Who would ever think it? To meet Mississippi John Hurt, Reverend Gary Davis, Skip James, Booker White, Son House. But my first boyfriend, Stephen Grossman, was part of this crowd of people, small crowd. You could practically count it on 2 hands. And these folks were finding the old records. Dick Waterman relocated Son House, for instance.
Yep.
And all these good folks knew each other. Again, a small group in New York City and a small group in Washington, D.C. John Fahey in Washington, D.C. And, Stephen Grossman and others, John Hammond in New York City. And I was just watching this whole thing, and I was listening to old records. Stephen Grossman was giving me recordings as they were being rediscovered. People were going into the South and coming back with a Charlie Patton LP that had been deleted from all the record company archives, the only known copy. And I was listening to reel-to-reel tapes of rediscovered early music. So, it was like my whole world was lit up by this incredible old music, and I fell in love with the music, totally fell in love, and I was 14, and I've never really looked back. It just was an obsession. It saved my life. You could really say the music saved my life.
Well, it's really fascinating that, I mean, being in New York at that time, you could also have easily gone to the folk genre in the folk world, but I guess especially you say you were hanging out with Stephen Grossman a lot.
Yeah,
and
I did country music too. By the way, my dad being a country fiddle player, and I mentioned that great country players were there. The guys that played the soundtrack for Deliverance, Eric Weisberg, Mandel would be there playing music with my dad, and John Harold of the Greenbrier Boys, and John Cohen of the New Lost City Ramblers, and one after the other. Doc Watson, we met him Union Grove, North Carolina Fiddlers Convention. There was as much country music as there was blues. In fact, I would have to say blues was a slightly smaller crowd of enthusiasts who were. But I as much as I played flat pick behind my dad when we were doing country blues together, old-timey country music together, I just fell in love with blues as soon as I heard it, and I veered off blues.
Well,
into the blue.
You sure heck picked it up. It's fascinating.
I got to ask you, Rory. I mean, this is our 4th show, and you are the first female guest, and I was just really excited to welcome you this evening, in part because I couldn't wait to have another girl on the show. No offense, Freebo. And I'm just wondering, what that was like for you coming up as a blues artist,
Especially a
and kind of
blues
making
woman,
your
yeah.
way, a blues woman, and just what you experienced maybe early on and how that changed or how it shaped, your experience with the music and with the industry and all that. I know it's a big topic, but it
It
just...
is.
Yeah.
It is, but it's a very important one, and I really appreciate you asking it because I've done trillions of interviews, and honestly, most of them are male interviewers, and nobody asked that in that
Well.
way ever. So, yeah.
Right on, Alice.
Yeah, I would have to say that it was an oddity to people to find, and still sometimes is, although I've been around for a while, so people have gotten used to me. But I definitely was breaking the sound barrier. I was definitely, when I toured in Australia, opening for John Hammond many years ago, people were upset with me playing in a strident style, but not with John playing in a strident style. Both John and I've always thought we were kind of like each other's other half on some
Right.
levels. There's John playing in his strident style, and then there's me over here playing and we're playing the same songs a lot of times.
Yeah.
But anyway, people didn't accept it right away. Son House accepted it. Here's the weird thing: is the early blues players that I met in person were incredibly gracious and they just knew that they were being honored. They knew I loved their music. And when I sat with Son House at Stephen Grossman's parents' house, Dick Waterman was there with Son House, 1964, something like that. Son House was saying, where did she learn to play like this? Because I was playing Willie Brown songs and Robert Johnson songs for him, and I hope he was honored. I hope he knew that it was out of, deep respect and love that I was in love with the music.
Right.
And with the players that I met. I mean, there was this feeling of loving them, So then over time, I think it was, for a while, it probably was an oddity. I mean, so many reviewers have written, despite the fact that she grew up in New York City and that she's a female aunt, and they always mention all those outward things. And I always said, it's not anything outward, it's your soul. You can't control what inspires the human heart. So, but at the same time, I feel like I'm an ambassadoress, as Dick Broke from Martin Guitars used to call me, an ambassadoress for Martin Guitars, for instance. But I feel like I'm a bit of a, sort of like Bonnie was in her arena, which is, more pop oriented. But she was an unexpected presence as well, So we do have to go through pushing past stereotypes, all of that. So that, and I won't take too much of your time, but that is a great question.
No,
and
I
a
think
great
it's
subject.
It's a focal point for me of the evening, and I think it's such an important conversation. And
Yes.
I wouldn't be here doing what I'm doing in the way that I can without you, without those that came before me, and you and the other amazing women that I've fallen in love with in my own way, musically, and over my life. And so I'm grateful to you for that.
Well, that's really, really, really nice. I mean, in my book, which is sitting right over here,
Just so happens
What's
to
the name of
be.
your book for those people watching might be
the book
interested?
is called When a Woman Gets the Blues, and it's a song actually written by my friend Eric Kaz, who also wrote, I bet you know this, Freebo.
Love Has No Pride.
Of course.
That's right. No, I love Eric.
Yeah, one of the greatest songs ever written, I
Yeah.
think, and I performed it a couple
And
times.
Libby Titus.
Libby
co-wrote
Titus, thank
that,
you.
yes.
Yes, absolutely. When I do it live, I say, written by Eric Kaz and Libby Titus. It definitely felt that in the book, I say, for years and years, there were completely different standards for male artists and female artists. And even if it was right down to like, men were expected to trash hotel rooms, do whatever they wanted, and were given pink elephants, they called it in Holland, the backstage requirements. I want M&Ms, but no blue M&Ms and all that stuff. A woman could not do that. There was a completely different standard for women, and I think women were aware that we couldn't act out of control. We had a higher standard of perfect behavior, politeness, otherwise we'd get branded difficult. And I dealt with that early on with some band musicians where I heard somebody talking once about a famous woman, not the one you mentioned, not the one we're talking about, but another one who shall remain nameless. And they were complaining and calling her the B word. And I said, are you maybe having a double standard? This is like the 70s. I said, what if it was a male artist asking you, this is what I want you to do, this is what I want you to play, leading the band? I said, are you sure that person was really so out of control and difficult, or are you just judging that person in a different light? And everybody went silent. And I felt like that was definitely something that was always present. But, it's much better these days.
Well, it is. And I mean, I first met Bonnie Raitt in 1968 and actually watched her as she was, she picked it up before me, but I watched her at Dick Waterman's apartment sitting at the feet of people like Arthur Crudup and Son House and Mississippi Fred McDonald, learning that stuff. Yeah. But what Bonnie always used to say, and I'm sure you can relate to this, when people would say, boy, you play great guitar for a girl, that would drive her crazy. Say, and she would totally break them all and say, don't you dare say I either play great guitar or I don't. And people like you and Bonnie so much on the forefront. And I'm going to segue that over into Alice, because Alice wishes that she were there at that time. And she wasn't there physically, but your soul was there. Your soul was totally there.
Can I just quickly say something? I want to hear Alice. I don't mean to interrupt, but
oh no,
sure.
Bonnie and I were born 2 days apart. We both had fathers in the music business, and we knew all the same people, but we didn't meet for years until years later. But it's just a very interesting, all the same Son House, and Fred McDowell. But anyway, yes, Alice, I just had to interject that interesting parallel.
This is why we want you to share all of that.
That's, we got many more questions for you, Rory.
Great.
So I will, Rory, I'm going to minimize your screen now and silence your mic.
Okay.
Here we go. Okay. Wow. Doing it all at the same time.
Yeah. What you got, Alice?
Well, this is a song, it spoke to me what Rory said about just kind of falling in love with the old music, because that's totally how I grew up too, and loving my parents' music and, kind of taking that in as a kid too. I guess this is my version of a country blues tune, Alice style. A little different, a little simpler. But, it's called Homeland Blues. It's from my first record. Indeed. Every night I have the strangest dream. All these ghosts are talking to me, laid down in my bed, and I can hardly sleep. These homeland blues have got a hold of me. Well, I went over to my cousin's house to see if we could figure it out. He said it's plain to see you got them homeland blues. What hope have I got if what you're saying is true? And I got them homeland blues. Don't you know I got them homeland blues? Said I got them homeland blues. Honey, pull over, I got them homeland. The sooner I book my ticket, the sooner I'll come running back to you. Well, I asked my mother, do you know what I mean? And she could hardly look up at me, had her eyes to her paper, and I knew she had them too. eyes on her coffee, and I knew she had them too. Have you ever missed something that you never even had? You're down so low and you feel so bad. That's when you know you got them Homeland Blues. That's when you know that you got them Homeland Blues. And I got them Homeland Blues. Don't you know I got them Homeland Blues? Said I got them Homeland Blues. Try to tell you I got them Homeland Blues. The sooner I book my ticket, the sooner I'll come running back to you. You wanna take a solo, Freebo?
Sure.
I went outside and I couldn't get a cab. All distracted by the night we had, I sat down on the curb, nursing my Homeland Blues. I'm half out in the street and I'm nursing my Homeland Blues. My American soul gets lonely sometimes. Take a walk and it clears my mind, and I hold you tight to shake my Homeland Blues. Yes, I hold on tight just to shake my Homeland Blues. And I got them Homeland Blues. Don't you know I got them Homeland Blues? Said I got them Homeland Blues. Try to tell ya I got them Homeland Blues. The sooner I book my ticket, the sooner I'll come running back to you. If home is where I left it, the sooner I'll come running back to you. Thank you, Barbara. Put these back in. Hey, Rory.
Wow, I just love the way you sing and play, and you guys
Oh.
sound just so great together.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
When I saw you guys at the Folk Alliance in Montreal, I was really quite blown away
Oh,
by
thank you.
Alice's songwriting and the beautiful vocals, and oh wow, I mean it's very
you.
special. I think it's highly, it's really outstanding. I think.
Thank you, Rory.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Beautiful.
Thank you.
And you
That's-
couldn't have a better bass player. I mean,
He's the best.
yay.
Yeah.
Yay, he's the best.
I never
Yeah.
even really particularly noticed bass players per se because I was so, just in my own like singer-songwriter world. And when I started playing with Freebo, I was like, oh my God, do they all play like this? And it's
Right.
like, no, like it's special. It's very
Certain
special.
musicians have a sensibility about songwriter backup.
Yeah.
And there's a drummer I know, Neil Wilkinson from England, and you want him on your record when you've written a song because he just knows what to
Yeah.
do to enhance. But also, we should mention that Freebo is also a great singer and a songwriter too.
Yes,
And
which
he
is a
recorded-
perfect,
yeah.
perfect segue, Rory.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
I guess that means I have to play a song.
I think you have to play a
I
song.
think so.
You better get your
All right.
guitar.
Well, I'll tell you, let me take my headphones off, bass, get my guitar.
Okay, and I'll take a moment to here, Rory. I'm gonna put us back on here. I'll just mention that for everybody watching on Facebook, thank you, and we would love if you would share the video if you're enjoying it, which I hope you are. I'm assuming you are because you're still here. And thank you to Norman's Rare Guitars, amazing guitar shop in Los Angeles, where Freebo and I both live, that are supporting our show and putting it on their channel, on their YouTube channel. Thank you to all of you watching on YouTube. And we welcome your comments. And also, just as the interview goes on, we've got Jen from Norm's backstage kind of compiling all your questions for us.
Thank you, Jen.
So we would love, if you have questions for Rory in particular, or for either of us, please put them in the chat on Facebook or YouTube, and Jen can send them over to us. And as always, we really appreciate your donations. If you can give us $5, that is really, really wonderful. We'll be splitting it between the three artists this evening, and it just helps us keep going in this very special time. But honestly, I'm happy that this strange COVID time has forced us to do this show, because I'm getting to talk to people like Rory Block, and that's really cool.
No, that's great. And, you got to take what the defense gives you, and, everything happens for a reason. So we're trying to do the best we can. We definitely miss playing live. Actually, last week we were in Memphis at, I'm sure I can't hear you, Rory, but Bruce and Barbara Newman. And Barbara, who is president of the Blues Foundation, of which you've won several awards, and congratulations on that, belatedly.
We will discuss that later.
Yes, we'll discuss that later. But we actually did our last show was on their back porch with Doug McLeod, another wonderful blues player. And we had about 10, 15 people in the audience, socially distanced, very far away.
Our little traveling studio
Yeah,
while we've been on this cross-country road trip. It's been really fun.
Exactly. It was great. It was really cool.
What do you got for us, Freebo?
Well, I'm going to go away from the blues genre, and this is, I guess, more...
You can't get away from the blues.
Look, I love the blues. I really do.
They follow you.
They do. Hopefully you can't let them get you down. But this is more of I really believe in looking inside and looking in the proverbial mirror, because we all have some stuff, some crap that was laid on us by our parents, which was laid on them by their parents, and laid on them by their parents. It goes back many thousands of years, and I think part of our destiny, if we choose to embrace it, is to recover in one way or another, and to break the cycle, and to take this stuff for us that's not working and figure out how to make it work, and like I say, looking in the mirror, say, what's my part in this dysfunction? And this song really deals with that. It's called "I Ain't Running No More." I ain't running no more, I ain't walking out the door. I ain't running no more. I ain't running no more like so many times before. I ain't running no more. I was caught in my confusion, an illusion of my own, paralyzed and staring at the floor. Could use the helping hand, 'cause I couldn't understand what all the fighting suffering was for. But I ain't running no more, I ain't walking out the door. I ain't running no more. I ain't running no more like so many times before. I ain't running no more. I was running on empty, I was running against the wind. No confronting, I was running out the door. Felt ashamed and I would blame me, just a victim of my own. Now I'm done and I ain't running no more. I ain't running no more, I ain't walking out the door. I ain't running no more. I ain't running no more like
times before. I ain't running no more.
All those stories of old, they don't need to be told. I'll dry up the tears of my journey, and I'll face all the fears that I've run from for years. But I ain't running no more, I ain't walking out the door. I ain't running no more. I ain't running no more like so many times before. I ain't running no more. I ain't running no more, I ain't walking out the door. I ain't running no more. I ain't running no more like so many times before. I ain't running no more. I ain't running no more. No more. No more. No more. Thank you.
Better put your headphones back on.
I'll put my headphone back on.
It's very complicated.
Very complicated.
Hey, Rory. I can hear you.
Hey, but I want Freebo to hear.
I know, he's coming.
What a moving. Yeah, I want him to hear. Hey,
What's that, Ray?
I said I wanted you to hear what a moving and beautiful song. Both of those songs that you both did. But
you.
I feel that we were talking about one of the things that has come about through this thing of broadcasting from home. I mean, I had never even done a Skype phone call ever. I was avoiding it. I just thought, oh, it looks, I don't think I don't want to do that. And then all of a sudden we realized all 4 or 5 months of shows were canceled. And we went, we need to start broadcasting live. And so I kind of took the leap. And you know what? It's really been a beautiful experience. We're now up to show this next show that we do Tuesdays and Fridays on Facebook Live is going to be the 52nd show that I've done. And we have an amazing viewer community. And by the way, they're tuned in tonight, too.
Oh, I'm so glad.
We talked about it a lot on last night's show, this show coming up, and told people you can't miss it. I wanted them to see you guys do the beautiful things that you do. Wanted to mention that apropos to what we were saying about Bonnie's response to people saying you play pretty good for a girl.
For a girl,
When I was in Berkeley, California, 1964, I think it was, Stephen Grossman was there. Fred McDowell had come over to Ed Denson's house where we were staying. Ed Denson, who founded Tacoma Records, and he was one of the early start your own record label to put out the old reissued music, because otherwise you would never get it out on a major label. You had to start your own label.
Right.
So he started Tacoma Records. He had a place in Berkeley. Stephen and I were staying with him, and it's a knock on the door, and I go answer the door, and it's Fred McDowell. I'm like, oh, whoa, this is wonderful. How did he know that we were here? So we all went down to a place called the Jabberwocky Cafe in Berkeley, and we all performed. And I was performing on stage with Fred McDowell, and I was doing some song, maybe Big Road Blues by Tommy Johnson. And someone in the audience jumped up and said, "She plays like a man." And I write about this in the book. I said, what is that supposed to mean? How can you, what if you just play exactly like Bonnie's response? It's like, you don't play like a man, like a woman, like anything. You play what you play. There should be a limit.
Although in that time, in 1964, I mean, I would have to say, with the male mentality where it was at,
well, it was the only
that's
context
actually quite a compliment, actually. Even though
it
is now politically correct.
Thank you, Freebo.
Look, I'm doing it from a man's point of view, obviously, and I can only imagine having been
all
good.
When there's
we love you, Freebo. We love
do.
you. We're not like looking askance. No.
He's part of the cause.
I'm just saying he meant well.
I just think that in that time there was no other context
That's
that he had to describe what he was seeing you do, other than, oh my God, I've never seen a woman do that before. So
that's right.
Once you start seeing more of that in like a public, once there's more representation of people, then it's like, oh, obviously women do all these things.
And
Absolutely.
I write about this too, which is that it was harder for a woman in 1920, 1930 to live the life of a blues player. You would have to leave your children, you would have to leave home and family, you would have to get on a freight train, you would have to like play at bars and speakeasies, and you'd be dealing with a lot of people who were going to probably take advantage of you in that day and
Absolutely.
time. You probably had no way to defend yourself and protect
Right.
yourself,
Well, what always-
and nobody cared, you know.
Right. It amazes me always, like a lot of the lyrics of the old blues songs sung by women. Just the original black female blues singers, that they're often just like so overtly sexual or like really pretty like out there. A lot of them kind of feminist in
Sippy Wallace.
their just like, this is who I am. I don't care what you
Right.
think. I'm just this is my body, my self, my mind.
Right.
And I think. That always really, it was like so ahead of its time in some ways.
As an example, Bessie Smith, do your duty.
Exactly.
It's
It's like nobody else
Yeah.
is really saying that, like in music, or it seems
Right.
like it's really honest and really real. And
That's right.
It's so compelling in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can be proud. I mean, I'd say, like, I was there with Bonnie, and I watched her change a lot of opinion of men and women, and I dare say you've done the same, and it's something you can really be proud of, really.
Yeah.
And like I said in the beginning, I've always felt like I was tearing down stereotypes, and absolutely Bonnie, I think of her as really, clearing the pathway for a
Right.
whole bunch of other artists
A lot of
who
people,
were going
right.
to have permission to do it because
Right.
she cut through, the wilderness, and along with others.
Yeah.
But she was a very prominent person who did that and forged a path. I say it that way
Absolutely.
sometimes.
Yeah.
So we appreciate her, and
Yeah.
we love her for all that she's done and continues to do.
Well, let me
Amen.
ask you this: in addition to blues, I mean, you also consider yourself a singer-songwriter, right?
Right.
You do writing and you do different styles of music. Could you share one with us?
Yes, absolutely. Let me just see if the guitar wants me to tune it. Guitars have a mind of their own.
Sounds like it does.
Yeah, right. Okay, I'm going to do a tune. I'll tell you a little history on this one. Back in the beginning of my career, I essentially did given arrangements such as blues songs that were played in a certain way, and I wanted to duplicate that. So I stayed very close to the arrangement. And I really wasn't a songwriter until I got essentially forced into it by record labels who said, you have to be a songwriter. For us, they said blues is fine and dandy. It's it's part of the past. It's it's a curiosity, but you're never going to make it singing blues. I heard that more times than I could ever tell you.
Wow.
And they said you have to write music. So I kind of started it resentfully as a homework assignment. And record companies were always saying you have to do it this way. It has this formula: verse A, chorus, verse B, chorus. Instrumental, bridge, chorus, out, repeat the choruses, and there was a formula, and I found myself not being able to thrive in that formula. Give us 2 per week, and and so eventually I just thought, I'm not going to do it that way. Forget the formula. I'm going to tell the story, and that's where this song came from. This song was like, I'm not going to repeat the words when I get to the chorus. I'm just going to keep on telling the story. I'm not going to worry about all of the formula. So I sang it once in the studio because I used the words of a letter that I wrote to a very dear person who had turned out that he had a drinking problem. Sometimes when I say this to people, when you first start getting involved, everybody's on best behavior, and you don't always see all of the things that are going to crop up later on when
Right.
reality starts to come out. And so it became obvious that there was a drinking problem, and it got more pronounced. And I eventually sought counseling, the 800 numbers, free numbers you call. They were just inventing them in those days. And I found a lady who helped me. She walked me through the problem day after day. And I ended up being able to end the relationship because she said, he's going to pull you down, and you're going down with him because he has to make the decision himself to change. You're not going to save him. You're trying to save him. And she really showed me that I indeed was thinking that I could change the course of his life, but she showed me that he would make that decision himself. So I had to end the relationship, yet I loved him. He was a great musician. He was artistic, loving, wonderful, intelligent, beautiful, all that good stuff. But the drinking thing was... So I wrote a letter to him, which I sent to him. The relationship had to come to an end. Now, he's still my friend 30 plus 40 years later and has come away from the problem, has dealt with the problem. In the meantime, I took the letter that I wrote him and I moved it around a little. Songwriters know what I'm talking about. Drop a word here, push a word that way, put in a different word to make it match the music that I had already written. And I sang it once in the studio. I thought, this is really stupid. No one will care about this. It's too personal. You know, no one will care. And I thought, I won't put it on the record. And then a friend of mine heard this song right after I recorded. She said, you have to put that on your record. In the meantime, take one, no take two, nothing. It was like a shell of a song. I put it on the record as an afterthought. It got licensed in the Netherlands, and a wonderful radio promotion guy loved the song, and he made it into a gold record. I'm like,
wow.
It changed to everything. It changed to everything for me. The song is still famous. I think I forget whether it was you or Freebo who said that the song has lingered, a particular song, for years and years. So I call it Love and Whiskey, and people come up to me every time, and I do the song every show, and they say, thank you for writing that song. It's, you know, my mother, my father, my sister, my brother, my wife, my husband, my partner, my significant other, my sweetheart is an alcoholic, and this song saved my life. You know, you never know, and here I was not going to put it on the record. So that's not to say it's a great song in itself, but it's what it is saying. It's like Freebo's song, where he said, I'm just deciding I'm going to tell it the way it is. I'm not going to gloss it over. I'm not going to, shine it up. You know, it's going to be real. And I think, Alice, you write songs that way, too.
Oh,
I hear that same honesty. So it's just that it's a simple, tell it the way it happened. And if somebody resonates with it, then that's why we're writing music, I guess, right?
Amen.
Well, if you live in dusty twilight, baby, that's okay, 'cause there are women at the bar to greet you every day. And you can take them back to life with you and visit Jamie's room, but they can never take the pain away or brighten all the gloom. And if your hands are clenched in sorrow, may it help you ease your pain. Though the windows have a view on city rain, city rain. Well, if you walk in constant sorrow and you cry for me, if you're hit with painful memories, maybe then you'll see that if you drown yourself in liquor, 'cause it keeps you company, just remember who you're losing and be proud to set me free, because it don't talk back, don't disagree, said it just makes you see so hazily. But in the morning light, your life is scattered with the wind, scattered with the wind. Well, you know, they tell you on the telephone to let him go. Said they tell you he's a sinking ship and he's trying to pull you down. Don't you know? But every time you call me up, say you want me back, you know, you break my heart. Said you want me to come back home and try again. You want me to make a brand new start. Well, if wisdom says to let him go home, then you know it's hell, because you just don't know until you've tried to love a man who's loving whiskey. love and whiskey. My baby left me for the bottle and the lure of the nightlife. Good times and crazy women and another glass of Tanqueray. Well, if wisdom says to let him go, then you know it's hell, because you just don't know until you've tried to love a man who's loving whiskey. Loving whiskey.
Ah, I love that.
Oh, that's
Man,
beautiful.
That, Rory, I just love that. I had not heard that song before, and I can see why it became such an important song in your career, in your life. I just love that how you said that it just kind of happened that way, and how you thought to yourself, like, who could care about this? It's so personal. Because I have that thought all the time with how I write about, you know, my own relationships and family and loves, and, you know, and it's like, you think, how could anybody relate? It's so personal, but then you don't even realize how completely universal.
That's the beauty of it. You know, I've never done anything to prepare before going on stage except to just think to myself, I just want to help one person. I just want anything that I do tonight to touch somebody so that they can get through a difficult situation.
Yeah.
And, you know, because that's one of the biggest fantastic things that music, one of the biggest blessings of music, is that it can do that. It can reach down into another person's soul and help them through something personal. That's
absolutely
for me.
Oh,
you know.
yeah.
By the way, I forgot to take my headphones off during the song. And I was like, they did, it muted everything. So I sang like in a little muted bubble because my live audio is not in the headphones.
I know.
So I'm like, should I stop in the middle and live broadcast and remove the headphones, or should I just continue singing
You killed it. I didn't even notice. You sound great in a bubble.
Rory, I was just going to, and Alice, I was going to dovetail onto that, just about writing from a very personal place, because it's just a question of changing the names and the dates and the faces, because there are only so many emotions, only so many human emotions, and when we talk about our own emotions and our own story, there's always going to be other people who relate to that, and they really, it all of a sudden, when somebody hears that story, it's like, oh my God, I'm not alone. I thought I was the only one who felt that way. So when they hear you talk about how you feel, and then when you put a musical cushion underneath it, because music itself is so emotional, it's a whole different language. I mean, that to me is what's fascinating about being a singer-songwriter, and it can be a very powerful thing. And there's a big responsibility in doing it.
That's true, too. There is a responsibility, and I have felt that before, like, oh, this song maybe could stir up a little bit of a problem with this subject.
And
maybe
that's okay.
That's
okay, I think, really. If you're following your heart, it's okay.
Right.
Good point. Good point.
No, but I know there's that hesitation, like, am I saying too much? I've had that thought, and I try to figure out a way to sort of maybe disguise a little bit of the personal, you know, just to the point where the person doesn't know, like, oh my God, this is about me, like you change a name or, you know, but I have to tell you something
funny, if I may. When I wrote
this
book, I was very careful about not saying anything that anybody could get upset by, meaning another person, if it was about them. It was only good things and all good stuff. And somebody contacted me and said, before you release this book, I want to see all the passages written about me. And I wrote back, you were never mentioned. They were very upset by that. But that,
oh my gosh! Like, and was that true that they weren't?
It's exactly true.
That's so funny.
I knew that there's something. You're just
they thought they figured into the story a little more heavily than.
They were ready. But then they ended up being like bummed that they weren't.
Oh. They were like waiting for you to dish about them.
I guess so.
Rory,
But
I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Jen sent over a question from our audience, and Mike is wondering if you could just talk about your guitar. He's curious
I'd love
what
to.
the model is, and just tell us about it.
Yeah. Well, I could use this opportunity to tell you about my signature model guitar, which
Oh,
is
yeah,
over there.
please.
And I call this my Road Warrior. It's the first guitar that Martin Guitars gave me. It's actually a duplicate of the first one. It's a long story. It's in my book. Something happened to the first model. Nobody ever figured out what it was. And I was given another one, but there's a very interesting chapter. It's in the Martin Museum right now, my first one that they gave me. Because of whatever happened to it, nobody knows. But anyway, this one is an OM 28V. Actually, thank goodness Rob's coming in the room because he's much better with specs and stuff like that. This is the OM 28V, right, Rob, the Road Warrior. And they said to me, they took me to it was at a convention, like one of the conventions, and they showed me all the guitars on the wall. Meantime, I didn't have a guitar of my own at that point. I was borrowing guitars from John Sebastian to record records. Crazy, crazy.
Nice.
So they said, pick a guitar. And I looked at them like, I've died and gone to heaven. Martin Guitars is saying, pick whatever you want from the wall. And there were pearl inlays, and there were all these gorgeous guitars. And I picked this one because it was like the ones that Stefan Grossman had in his collection that I used to love to play. And I knew it was going to serve me well. So there's this one, which, again, I've called the Road Warrior. And somebody on one of my viewers said, we looked on Martin's website and we couldn't find the Road Warrior model. We want to get one. And I said, oh, no, that's just my personal name for
You
it.
have to make your own.
Yeah, right. So then this one is my signature model. That was the second time I died and went to heaven when they called up Dick. These things can happen more than once.
Hopefully you have 9 lives.
Yeah, I'm on the second one then as a result. But Dick Bo called and said, we want to make a signature guitar for you. And I'm like, oh,
Wow.
did I just hear this?
That's so amazing.
So we all went to eat dinner together. Rob was there. Dick Boak was there. And we drew ideas on the dinner napkins. We totally forgot to eat. And we just kept asking for more napkins. And I'm sure the waiter was totally wondering what on earth was going on. And so we designed this. This is an OM40. And I don't know if you have any way to see it, but the neck we decided, I thought, would be a Blacktop Highway, very bluesy theme. So we made the neck become a highway with a passing and no passing zone in mother of pearl.
Wow.
We have highway signs, yield and stop and railroad crossing. And here Dick Boak put a railroad crossing in mother of pearl. You can see the tracks. And here's a yield sign and a railroad crossing sign, stop sign.
Your signature down at the bottom there?
Right, my signature is down at the bottom, right here. And the inside, the additions are signed by Chris Martin IV
Right.
and the artist. And up top, Dick Boak made an artist rendering of a terraplane car to honor Robert Johnson. And the whole guitar was put together as a generic body size for anybody, man or woman, large or small, didn't matter. I didn't want it to be just like a woman's guitar. I wanted it to be an everybody guitar.
And it's got hardened frets.
Oh, yeah, it has hardened
To
frets
accommodate for the metal slide.
for the slamming that I do. And it
Cool.
has stronger interior bracing,
Yeah.
but it still has incredibly responsive
Yeah,
sound.
accommodate
So
you
this
and
is,
Willie Nelson.
It's so
yeah,
Roughest.
we call this SIG 1, and this is the Road Warrior.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
just so cool that you got to do that.
Really?
It's
I know.
amazing.
I know.
I wish people could see it up close, but obviously I think people can look at it on the Martin website, I'm
Yes.
guessing. Okay,
Yes, you
cool.
can.
I mean, I'm Freebo and I both play Martins too. Mine is a custom shop. It's a lot like an OM21, but it's a little different. I was working at a guitar shop in Seattle called Dusty Strings, and one of my coworkers designed this custom model that just came into the shop. It wasn't particularly for me, but I just fell in love with it, and it's it is rosewood and spruce, and has the cutaway and stuff, but it's it's the same OM size. I just think it's perfect. I had a dreadnought before and it was way too big
Large,
for me.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
I can't-
is-
I can't
yeah,
move
I
one.
feel like
Too
I'm
big.
hiding behind it when I play, and so this is so much more comfortable. But yeah,
Yeah.
Turns out it was for you, Alice.
It was what?
Turns out it was for you.
It was for me.
Yes,
I know. Should I?
Nice.
Should I
You've
play
made it
something
your
on
own.
it? Maybe.
That's a good idea. Why
Okay.
don't you?
All right.
Yeah.
How about something personal?
Okay. Yes. In the spirit of Rory's song, and I guess in the vein of playing a personal song that has become, universal to some folks who have enjoyed listening to it, which makes me happy. It's called What We Got Is Gold. The night is louder than it's been before. I hear it knocking on my walls and doors, saying soon enough it's time to go. But these precious hours, I keep you close. Of all the nights in recent memory, there were so many you were far from me, and I just heard my heart keeping lonely time, wishing yours was there to echo mine. If the papers would all print old news, they'd say I'm still in love with you. Let the years go by, it remains the same. What we've got is gold, and what it's worth won't change. Well, I fear I turned you upside down when I tore you from your hometown, just to make you wait at home for me and keep this fire alive tirelessly. But if your patience ever reached an end, tell me, baby, what would I do then? Say that it's alright to ease by mine, though you told me so 1,000 times. If the papers would all print old news, they'd say I'm still in love with you. Let the years go by, it remains the same. What we've got is gold, and what it's worth won't change. All along the road, these faces seem to come and go, but yours, my love, will never fade. If the papers would all print old news, they'd say I'm still in love with you. Let the years go by, it remains the same. What we've got is gold, and what it's worth won't change. Thank you, Barbara.
That was beautiful.
Thanks, Rory.
Oh, I heard you do that one in Montreal, and I was just really
Thank
blown
you.
away. And
Thank
again, blown away again.
Thank you.
Can I say that your songwriting and singing and playing reminds me of the day and time when they were just the music was so real. I think people will know what I mean. Bonnie Raitt, Joni Mitchell, just this really rich world of special music. And now there's just a lot, there's a lot out there. But it just sort of reminds me of those formative times when we'd listen to Joan Baez and we would listen to Bonnie and Joni Mitchell, and we would go like, they're
Rory,
just,
you're making my night, my life by saying that.
Oh, good.
Thank
well,
you.
You deserve it. You absolutely deserve it.
I mean, that's the music that I grew up listening to, from that you guys were making, that your generation, and thank God my parents brought me up on that music, and it just always resonated with me. And I would sit in front of the record player just memorizing all the Joan Baez ballads and singing along with them, and that was my the way I learned to sing. And then that's just that's what I want to do. I think there's something just timeless about it. I've just never really been interested in doing anything else, so thank you.
You're welcome.
You got me. You get me.
Yay,
I feel so
good.
seen.
Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely.
I've always said that Alice is an old soul in a young body, and it's really great that her parents played that kind of music, and that she took to it rather than the music of the 80s or the 90s that obviously so many of your friends were into. But
Not
for some
that there's
reason,
nothing good there.
well, but it's interesting. It's the
It's just
same,
different.
But
There's different sensibilities. I mean, just
but
like,
it's the same thing that Rory did, and what Bonnie did. Instead of going for the same old, you heard blues, and it just really spoke to you. And the same with you, Alice. I mean, everybody else heard all the crap on the radio, and you kind of heard his crap and said, "I'm sorry." I mean, it's not all crap, but a lot of it is.
How do you really
sorry.
feel, Freebo?
And that's how I feel. Sorry, I'm not like it is. I mean, look, I mean, look, commercial anything by definition, it's commercial. Therefore, it's for the masses, least common denominator, and some of it is good. I mean, there are some good songs, but a lot of it isn't so good, and it's purely subjective. It's my opinion, folks. Get on me if you want, but that's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. Okay.
Yeah, good for you.
But like I said, it's interesting what it is that turns us on. I mean, I heard Beethoven, then I heard Stravinsky. I mean, how many of my football playing buddies liked Stravinsky when I did? I mean, we relate to what we relate to. So I also
say,
like Little Richard and Chuck Berry. So.
You turned me on to Stravinsky recently, Freebo, and I was
did,
like,
yeah.
man, this guy was like punk rock. He was
Stravinsky
ahead
was
of
a
his
rocker.
time. He was
Totally.
like, he was rock and roll.
He was.
Freebo is a deep guy. He's deep. We were working on a sound check the other night, and we were trying, different things, and we were, so Rob was saying, look, this is all fairly recent technology. We're all learning as we go along, which is absolutely true.
Patience
and
is
then
required.
At the end, Freebo said, wait a minute, why don't we just go back to, the simplest possible way of doing it? It's the spirit of the thing that matters, not the perfection. And you came through with this
He was so
really
right.
wise thing. And afterwards I said, I'm going to call that the Freebo principle. I said, and I've already used it once since then. I said, wait, what about the Freebo principle? Let's do it the way Freebo's.
It's like back to basics. It's
Back to
good thing.
basics.
It's so true.
Yeah, thank you.
Freebo,
Thank you.
would you share a song?
Yeah, let me do something. I think I'll do something completely different.
Okay. While you get your guitar, I'll just mention again.
It's about Rock Seller magazine.
Yes, I'd love to mention our amazing sponsors that we have for this show and all of the Inside Live shows. Got some great people supporting us. Obviously, Norman's Rare Guitars. We love you, Norm. Jen, thank you for helping out behind the scenes. To all of you who are fans of Norm's page, thanks for checking us out. Giving us a shot here. We're definitely like we're really excited to be able to reach you guys through the Norms channel. So thank you so much for being here and for sharing the show and listening. And then another wonderful publication is called Rockseller Magazine. They are based in LA. It's an online and in-print news and music magazine that you can sign up for absolutely for free. You can go to rocksellermagazine.com, and if you sign up for their newsletter, you get in your inbox just this really wonderful, eclectic, informative collection of stories. They review records, they talk about current events, they talk about celebrities, news.
A lot of inside musical interviews.
Yeah,
that are
amazing
very, very
interviews.
cool.
Yeah, just so rocksellermagazine.com. Can't stress it enough. It's free, and we're so grateful to them for supporting us. You can't lose anything by signing up for it. Really, it's great. And then we also want to thank Fishman. This amplifier that we're using here is.
Can you see this?
Yeah, they can.
They can,
It's brand new, thanks to our friend Chris at Fishman. We went and picked it up the other day. They've given us a couple of these, and we just absolutely love them.
Beautiful amp. It's called the Fishman Loud Box. It's very, very. It's cool for guitar. It works great for bass.
Yeah, it's technically it's for acoustic instruments, but Freebo uses it for his electric bass at a kind of a low volume, and it sounds so good. It's works great as a monitor on stage too.
And for a singer-songwriter, you can plug a guitar into one channel and microphone into the other, and you can do a whole gig on it.
Can.
It's very cool.
It's great.
And you go out the back of it, plug it in the PA system, it becomes huge. So
Love it.
Great
We just
stuff.
got one that's also they just gave us a battery powered one, so that's kind of exciting too. We can busk now, Freebo.
Yes, we can.
And then also Audio Technica. We're using an Audio Technica mic here in the middle. You can't see it, but we're really grateful to them. Freebo's cousin got us the hookup with Audio Technica, and we're so happy.
A different cousin.
Yes, you guys, great family. Everybody. Yeah. So Audio Technica microphone working really well for us tonight. So bit by bit, we're getting the technology together, and every week there's a new challenge and a new exciting thing to figure out.
Really
But
is.
we're getting there.
And although they're not a sponsor, they are of you, Rory, but I too play M. Martin. This is a 64 D28. It is a dreadnought. I'm big enough to play a dreadnought. I enjoy dreadnought. I love the sound. And this is an old, talk about a battle axe, and I got this in 1972, so I've had it for almost 50 years, 48 years, but I love this thing, and I actually got Tommy Emmanuel to sign it. I saw Tommy Emmanuel play one time, and I was just so blown away. I never thought I'd have anybody sign his guitar, but he blew me away. But it just sounds better and better every year, and great stuff. So yeah, I want to do a song and say a little different, that this is a very politically charged time, and my heart goes out to the memory of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and her just all the wonderful things she did, an incredible human being she was. And you talk about women's rights and women breaking barriers, and she was an amazing human being, and she deserves to be celebrated, whether you're Republican, Democrat, liberal, or conservative. But the times are troubling right now, and particularly to me. I grew up in a little coal town in eastern Pennsylvania, and back then Republicans and Democrats really did talk to each other, and and respected each other, and they could have conversations and differences of opinions. And bit by bit, that has changed, and it's become very tribal. And now we all watch our own TV channel that tells us exactly what we want to hear. And somebody else gets completely different information, and the divide has just gotten greater, and the divide as far as the economics has gotten greater and greater. So I wanted to write this song about it. I wrote this some time ago. I actually wrote this song back in 2005, and unfortunately it's probably more true than ever, but it ultimately speaks to my hope that we can find a way to come together and bridge the separation. This song is called Before the Separation.
Can I just ask you a question? I was just going to ask you, the fader, the one on the right, is the volume, master volume?
That's master volume.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rob said to turn it down a teeny bit.
You okay?
Yeah. Go for it.
Was it an illusion back when I was young, when everyone was living on a promise? In unity and dignity, together we were one, believing in the freedom of a dream. Once upon a great frontier, not so long ago, the hope of man and earth were so connected. This beautiful creation, here to help us grow, is watching as it slowly slips away. On this carousel of madness, on a horse to kingdom come, I see our dream just melting in the sun. Won't you take me back to Eden, to a time when we were one, before the separation had begun? For the ones who have the money and the many who have not, the great divide grows wider by the moment. Equal opportunity, it doesn't mean a lot to the one who has to struggle to get by. On this carousel of madness, on a horse to kingdom come, I see our dreams melting in the sun. Won't you take me back to Eden, to a time when we were one, before the separation had begun? Hiding in our lives, we blindly close our eyes. Safe but not so sound, no freedom to be found, no. Now I will give my heart and soul, show undying faith, fighting for a cause that I believe in. Tactical delusions lead me not astray, for the voices of the healing will survive. On this carousel of madness, on a horse to kingdom come, I see our dream just melting in the sun. Won't you take me back to Eden, to a time when we were one, before the separation had begun? Oh, won't you take me back to Eden, to a time when we were one, before the separation had begun? Thank you.
Hey,
Hate it when it's slightly out of tune, but
here you go.
there we go.
Freebo, we had another question, and that was about your two capos. Maybe
my two capo.
maybe you could talk a little bit about your double capo situation.
Well, I'd be,
You only have one right now,
I
but
only have one. I'd be happy to talk about the two capo. This capo right here, it's made by Kaiser. It covers 3 strings. There's also a shub also makes the same kind of thing, and Alice uses shub. I use Kaiser because I like the way it attaches the end of the guitar. I can just do this with it. But the point is it covers 3 strings, and what it does is it changes your tuning without having to retune any strings. So I'm in regular tuning here. I tune down a whole step. So this is actually D, G. So, but it's regular tuning. So when I play an E chord, it's actually D chord. What this does, it puts you into a fake dadgad. For me, it actually puts me into dadgad. D, A, D, G, A, D. And that's really nice because you can play a 3-chord song with 1 finger, right? 1 chord, 5 chord, 4 chord, the 3rd to bass, or you can play it like as if you're playing drop D. Blues, or you can play it if you double drop D. A lot of stuff you can do with it. That's just on the 2nd fret. You put it on the 4th fret, you think out of C. The first song I played, I Ain't Run No More, is based on that. So you can do a lot of stuff. I discovered a lot of things with it. I turned Alice onto it, and she's discovered a lot of things on her own and written songs around it. I've written songs because of it.
And stolen a lot of your ideas.
Yeah, well, it's okay. I stole from other people and figured some stuff. It's all about passing it on. This
Hey,
capo
Rory,
is
I just want to say Rory's back in the show.
Oh,
I'm bringing her back in case she wants to say something about the double capo.
Oh,
just
okay.
want to.
I'm just totally loving it. I know what you're talking about.
I just want you to
and
know
I'm
that you're
enjoying
here
it.
with us.
Thank you.
If you would like to say
But
anything.
just so you know, so this other capo, just the regular capo, changes everything. That's just if you want to just sing in a different key. So if I put the regular capo, now I'm on an E.
And you can
and
add
I put
that.
this thing on, add this. So now I got.
Wow.
It's that simple,
Awesome.
It's
folks.
pretty fun.
Wow, yeah, fantastic. By the way, beautiful song again, and I
Oh,
feel
thank
like you
you.
really hit the nail on the head with that one. And I really appreciated that beautiful song. So thank you.
Oh, thanks,
Both
Rory.
of you.
Appreciate that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Rory, would you play us another blues tune? I think you said you had something else up your sleeve.
Yeah,
for,
I could play another blue. I don't know how much time you guys were being flexible here because I know you probably have a time budget. But I thought,
yeah.
if you wanted me to go to another original, I could easily jump to a song I wrote called Gypsy Boy, or I could go back to another, like Preachin' Blues by Son House.
I kind of want to hear you preach a little bit.
Yeah, I'd love to hear the blues thing. We talk so much about it, and you do it so well.
All right, okay. I better take my headphones off, for goodness sakes. So I've said and explained, that I was there when Son House was brought into New York City. Stephen Grossman's parents hosted him with Dick Waterman there. Stephen was there. And everybody left the room at one point, and I sat there with Son House, and I played Willie Brown songs. And because I started playing country blues before I met the rediscovered players, so meeting them after already being involved with trying to learn and transcribe, say, Mississippi John Hurt, Robert Johnson, from old recordings, and then meeting those same people was a really powerful experience. In this case, I'm going to say Son House was probably my greatest inspiration. So I'd like to do a song by Son House. Uh-oh, I needed to go to drop D. I mean open D, not open G. So I'd like to do a song that he wrote called Preachin' Blues. And Son House really was on the cutting edge because in the early days, blues was considered to be the music of the devil. And you either had to be an artist like, say, Reverend Gary Davis, you'd have to choose either sell your soul to the devil, and they would always say that, and then there would be lore about you doing that, and that would be the Robert Johnson style, and then you would be a dedicated gospel and preacher, gospel singer like, say, Reverend Gary Davis, but you weren't really expected to do both. You were expected to make a choice because they were like two separate worlds. But Son House showed me and everybody that you could do both, and that blues and gospel were really married. They were hand in hand, because the early blues players probably grew up in a church. Think about late 1800s, early 1900s. Chances are you were raised in a church, and you probably were singing gospel before you started writing blues songs. So that sensibility and that powerful spirit in gospel was translated directly into early blues. So Son House did this song. There's an actual additional take of it somewhere where he starts preaching in the middle of this song. And then there's a version without that. Preaching Blues by Son House. Lord, I said, oh, get me religion. Don't you know I'm gonna join a Baptist church? Hey, hey, Lord, I said I'm gonna join the Baptist church. Gonna act like a preacher, show all have to work. Lord, I said I'm gonna preach these blues. Don't you know I want everybody to shout? Hey, Lord, said I want everybody to shout. Gonna do like a prisoner. Gonna hold my tongue now. Said I went in my room, I bowed down, pray. Lord, I bowed down, pray. Tell the blues good morning, sure it's gone my way. Said I wish I had me a heaven of my own, heaven of my own. Then I'd give all my men long, long, happy home. I love my baby just like I love myself. Lord, and just like I love myself. If you can't have me, you won't have nobody else.
Damn, Rory. That was badass.
Badass. Took the words out of my mouth, Alice. Badass.
I missed the response, I know.
Badass. The
We
response
said
was
you badass.
Oh, thank you very much.
Preaching, girl.
I'm
Thank you.
just so happy that some listeners tonight that maybe didn't know about your playing are becoming familiar with you, because this is a
you.
lot of the people who follow Norman's Rare Guitars are obviously guitar freaks, if I may say so, in like the most loving way.
The best
Oh, yeah.
of ways.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
No, they're...
yeah, I'm just really happy that we get to introduce you to some of them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank
And I should tell for those people who are liking Rory and her guitar geeks, guitar freaks, love guitar playing, guitars themselves. Next week we've got the great Jack Williams on the show with us. Did you know Jack, Rory?
I don't know Jack Williams, no, but
Jack-
I'll tune it in and find out.
Yeah, check it out.
You'll have to check him out. He's
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever met anybody who is at one with his guitar quite as much as Jack is, and just the way he sings, the way he plays, the way he writes is very unique. He's a South Carolinian, Grew up as a trumpet player and arranger, and took the guitar and kind of went to the folk world, and played with a whole bunch of people. He's got a kind of a resume like I have. He's been a sideman, but came into his own music, and he's just absolutely fabulous. You'll love him.
Wow.
You really enjoy
Okay.
him.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess we're getting a little short on time, so maybe we'll do a couple more here.
What do you got, Alice?
Okay, I'm gonna do. Ooh, I kind of can't decide. I'm torn a little bit. Ooh,
I don't know what to tell you.
I know. I think I want to do You Just Never Know.
What is this one?
You Just Never Know.
Just Never Know?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I want to stick with the originals tonight. Just feeling it. So this is a song that I began writing. Maybe I'm thinking of it because I'm home in Massachusetts right now. But I started writing this song is just singing to myself on Route 90 on the Mass Pike, headed west, as I've done more times than I could ever possibly count. Growing up here in Newton and driving to where I went to school at Smith in Western Mass. And that's where this one began. I think it just kind of speaks to the idea that the road is a metaphor for your life, and you kind of pass the same exits again and again until they become so familiar that they remind you of past loves and people that have been in your life in different moments and emotions, and just kind of takes you down that road. This is a song that I brought to Freebo that we finished together for my last record that he produced. So the song is called You Just Never Know.
They're ready to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3.
I'm westward bound on the turnpike, and the skies are looking like rain. And the farther I go, the more sure I grow. I can't go back the way that I came. I passed the exit that led to my first love. I can't say where he's living now, but a lifetime ago I'd have taken that road just as fast as those turns would allow. Am I covering ground or just spinning my wheels? Have I got farther to go? Right around the next bend it may all be revealed, but the truth is you just never know. Oh, you just never know. I looked to this road for my freedom, and I drove it from end to end, and it dumped me into the ocean, then it sent me right back again. Am I covering ground or just spinning my wheels? Have I got farther to go? Right around the next bend it may all be revealed, but the truth is you just never know. Oh, you just never know. I take it 1 mile at a time as I get up to speed along these white lines. I'm alone in the gathering night, adrift on a sea of little red lights. Well, I've left in a hurry, and I've taken my time, driven blinded by love and by the tears in my eyes, broken down on the shoulder, with no place to go, and I breezed through the night as I made my way home. Am I covering ground and just spinning my wheels? Have I got farther to go? Thank you.
That's for sure. You just never know. We didn't know this COVID thing was coming along, and how we're going to deal with it. And
Doing the best we can.
we are. Yeah, it's interesting, challenging times.
You want to give me that bass?
Yeah. I'm going to.
Rory, we're going to do the next one just right away here. And
This is, Rory, you talked about how you really weren't a songwriter and you were playing and singing blues, and then you got this record deal and they said, well, you can't just play blues, you got to do some of your own songs, and so you were kind of forced into songwriting. And for me, I was forced into it by my spirit, my GPS, my personal GPS kept calling out to me. I had what I call a churning, yearning, burning, just a discomfort. Ouch, I know it was painful, but I was not comfortable because I had all these things I wanted to say, and I love playing bass, but there's only so much that you can say creatively, musically by playing bass. And so I realized that the only way I was going to get these ideas out was to start writing songs, because it was the songwriter who had the control in the band. And I wanted to tell a guitar player what to play. I had all these ideas. So in my mid-40s, I actually started to write songs. Wrote my first song when I was about 45 years old. And this song speaks to that whole process, and I think also speaks to, when you make a decision to do something that you haven't done and you've been meaning to do, and you're filled with that fear and trepidation and regret and doubt, that, if you wait, you're going to be confronted with exactly the same fear and doubt, trepidation,
And
regret.
if I may, having read The Artist's Way now, if you do make that choice and you take an action, the universe, I know this sounds foo-foo, but
it's true.
It is there to support you if you are doing it for the right reason.
Yeah.
And I really believe that.
I believe that too, and I read that book and did that book 25 years ago, and when I first read it, it was like, oh, come on, I felt the same thing. But, there are certain spiritual laws that are true.
Yeah.
And they just are, and they're, the only proof is in the pudding. The only proof is that if you follow through, that they do come true, somewhere over the rainbow, whatever. So I want to do this song for all you out there who might be thinking of doing something. Maybe some of you people watching on Norm's Guitar Channel who are like fascinated with the guitars but always wanted to learn to play blues guitar like Rory, or write songs, or do any of this stuff. I send it out to you. If not now, when? Ready, Alice?
Yeah.
We got a little surprise in the middle of this for you. Ready?
Yeah.
When I was a young boy, I had these dreams. Time didn't matter, or so it seemed. Now I'm still a dreamer, like I was back then. But time keeps screaming, if not now, when?
Hundreds of heartaches and broken down plans,
So many what ifs, and what if I can't? My fear held me captive, caged in a pen. It's time to break free, boy. If not now, when? If not now, when? It's not me who I can't pretend. Oh no, 'cause I know it's true. I make this vow, I swear amen. My time is now. If not now, when? Doubting and blaming, it's time to let them go. 'Cause this healing journey, it can go so slow. But I hear these voices again and again. They keep on calling. If not now, when? If not now, when? If not me, who? I can't pretend. Oh no, 'cause I know it's true. I make this vow. I swear it, amen. My time is now. If not now, when? Okay, Alice.
Well, I pulled out of Pittsburgh, rolling down that eastern seaboard. Got my diesel wound up, but she's running like never before. There's a speed zone ahead, I ride, but I don't see a cop inside. 6 days on the road, and I'm gonna make it home tonight. Well, it seems like a month since I kissed my baby bye-bye. I could have a lot of lovers, but I don't need no other guy. I could find one to hold me tight, but I could never make believe it's alright. 6 days on the road, and I'm gonna make it home tonight. Got my 10 forward gears and my sweet Georgia overdrive. Taking little white pills and my eyes are open wide. I just passed a Jimmy and White. I've been a passing everything in sight. 6 days on the road, and I'm gonna make it home tonight. What else, Freebo?
Well, my rig's a little old, but that don't mean she's slow. I got a flame from my stack and my smoke's blowing black and cold. Well, my hometown's coming in sight. If you think I'm happy, you're right. 6 days on the road, and I'm gonna make it home tonight. Okay, back to the tune. It's time to take this leap of faith without a net. Hello to destiny and goodbye, Rita Red. If not now, when? If not me, who? I can't pretend. Oh no, 'cause I know it's true. I make this vow. I swear it, amen. My time is now. If not now, when? I make this vow. I swear it, amen. My time is now. Oh, oh, if not now, when? If not now, when? If not now, when? And you know, I want to say, I hope it doesn't sound
Hi,
like
Rory.
begging, but
Hey.
what's that?
I'm just saying hi to Rory. You should
Oh.
put your headphones back on.
I will put my headphone back on, absolutely.
Oh wait,
But
we're-
I
we're
want to
tangled.
talk to the people in the audience for just 1 second, and in terms of if not now, when? What are you
Uh-oh.
doing here?
I don't know.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry. You're
Uh-oh.
tangled. Uh
Tangle.
I'll
If
just hold
if
it.
you're enjoying this, and we assume you are, if you're still here, we really would appreciate your donations. $5 would be one. If each of you gives $5, that really helps us not just continue on the road, but to pay the rent. This is what we do. This is totally what we do, and we don't have day jobs. If we had day jobs, we wouldn't be able to do this. I've tried that, and I've known a lot of people who do, and it doesn't work. It's really a full-time job, practicing,
And
writing,
we feel
being there with it,
yeah.
living it. And it's a wonderful life. I mean, I
feel
ain't complaining,
lucky.
but we do have to pay the rent.
Yeah, we do.
So if
right.
you could, like I say, I mean, it's just it's a Starbucks latte, okay?
If the show was enjoyable to you, if you had a good time, if you would watch again, and we hope you do, we would love it if you would give us a couple bucks. That would be.
And if you can't afford it, if you're really
Totally
on market, we understand. We're happy to give.
Tell
it
your
to
friends
you.
to watch next week. Tell your friends who have $5 to watch next week.
But if they don't, you can watch for free. So I hope you don't think of that
Yes.
as
I say the
groveling.
same
But
thing. I say the same thing to my viewers.
Yeah.
Like, if you have
Means a
no
lot.
money, you might also be unemployed, right now.
Yeah.
If you have no money, stay. We love you just as much. But if you can spare something, please give, because we will totally appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So-
and we thank you for watching. And Rory, you got one more to
Wait,
take
first,
us out?
I just real quick want to answer a couple questions.
Oh, yeah.
These are quick ones. Freebo, someone wanted to know if you only play Music Man, the bass.
Interesting. Here
you go.
I played Fender, a Fender Precision was my first bass, and I love it. And
He
then
asked if you still played Fender, actually, and whether you only played Music Man. That was the actual question.
Yeah, well, but what I'm trying to say is I started on that, and I got turned on in 1969 to the Fender fretless, and I just loved it. And I'm proud of the fact I was one of the early fretless players. And I met a guy named Sterling Ball, who was the son of the legendary Ernie Ball from Ernie Ball Strings and everything. And right about that time, they went into partnership with Music Man, which was Leo Fender's new company. Leo sold Fender to CBS, and so he decided he wanted to make a new kind of a bass. One was active electronics, and so Sterling actually gave me the 15th bass made that I got. It was fretted. They later gave me a fretless bass, and then years later they gave me this one. This is, I think, from 1988, so this is a second generation Music Man bass. It's fretless. It's a 5-string. I love the 5-string. I love the fretless. And there's just something about it, just very lyrical, especially when you play with a singer like Alice, or back in the day with Bonnie. And for blues, Rory, there's just something about the slides you can do. There's just something very soulful about it. There's something really very lyrical about it for ballads. And you can be really funky with it as well. Just listen to Jaco Pastorius sometime. Who was amazing and a god to all of us. But thank you for the question. Yeah, I exclusively play. I've taken out my old 63 Precision, and I've put flat wound strings on it, and there are certain songs for recording that I'll play that, and I'm really enjoying it. So it's a complete change from this. It's like two completely different instruments, but I'm in love with this thing, and so it's been 32 years I've been playing this exclusively, and it records great. I just love it, and I thank Sterling Ball for turning me on to it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then Rory, the question for you was, if you could listen to only 3 albums for the rest of your life, what would they be?
Oh, wow.
Which is like the impossible question.
Don't do it.
I know.
You're on a desert island, and
I know.
you somehow have a
like,
record
it's
player,
like so
and
cruel.
You're only allowed 3 records.
We won't quote you on this
I
forever.
Can't.
You can't. You don't have to.
I can give you some great.
What are some greats?
Well, I mean, honestly, Bonnie Raitt, George Jones.
What's your favorite Bonnie album? Do you have one?
The very first one that I ever heard, I think it was the one that had Love Has No Pride.
Oh.
on it.
That's actually the second one. That's
Okay.
called "Give It Up." That's my favorite record too.
That might be the first one that I heard, and then I might have gone back and listened to the other. But that one, James Taylor's early albums, Fire and Rain, and
Yes.
oh my God, and early Hijira, Joni Mitchell.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say more than 3 because it's not fair.
That's fine.
And then there's like
All the
George
blues, yeah.
Jones, and then there's then there's some Bruce Hornsby records that saved my life, and I always did love Stevie Winwood and Stevie Wonder. Honestly, there are just too many. I was going to get smart alecky and say, well, I would create new 3 albums with compilation tracks by all my faves,
Multiple
all on
disc
one
sets, box sets.
And then I would defeat the question by taking 3 records that had 30 or 35, 40 great songs
way
of
to-
all my favorite artists. I've got a lot of artists that I love listening to.
That's a
over
good
the
answer,
years.
actually.
Yeah.
It's a very
Yeah.
honest answer.
It is.
Yeah, yeah. It's
well,
a
Rory,
tough one.
take us out with a song. We'd love that.
Absolutely. I'm like you, Alice. I'm torn between two songs. I have "Silver Wings," which is a favorite
Yeah.
of my listeners, recorded in the Netherlands in a studio there, where the rest of the record was made in the United States. Or I could do "Gypsy Boy," which Stevie Wonder came and played on my record. And oh my gosh! And that's
pretty
just
cool.
Such a fun
It's
story.
so cool.
That was done in L.A. actually. You know, Alice, when you were talking, I've been up the Mass Pike billions and
gosh.
billions of times myself.
Billions.
I
Yes.
bet you we passed. I
We
bet you
probably
we passed
did.
each other. Oh yeah, I mean, we had to have, because we're
Yes.
talking years and years and years of that, just the same road, you know, knowing all the exits.
Back and
that was a
forth.
great time. Yes. Yeah.
You can't go wrong. Pick what feels right to you.
Okay, well, I still don't know. I think I'll do Gypsy Boy, which is the song that Stevie Wonder played on.
Yeah.
If I may just quickly say to my listeners and your listeners, please consider joining me on Friday and Tuesday and Friday nights at 7:30. Luckily, Alice and Freebo are going to be broadcasting on Wednesdays, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
We went at
Wednesday.
8 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
a very good viewership for my shows, and I always give guitar tips. I do blues, I do originals. Please tune us in on Facebook Live. We haven't done them on YouTube yet, except sometimes after the fact we post them.
Great. And I'm Rory. I'm putting your link up at the bottom here, so folks
Okay,
can
thank
see
you.
that.
Hey, Rory, I have a
yeah.
quick question for you. How did you get Stevie Wonder to play on your record? How did
All
that
right.
happen?
I better tell the story, okay? Years ago, I worked with an engineer called Jim Gallagher, and he's Philadelphia-based, but he traveled all around. He was working with a lot of artists, and he would drop in and do my records for me from time to time. And so I was traveling around with a little song. It was just a shell. It had no vocal. It was a little simple guitar part that I had come up with, and I recorded it. And I drove around, as many of us, the songwriters and musicians, use our vehicles as our office, right? We drive around,
course.
and
Yeah.
we get inspiration for words while we're, this free state of mind that you're in when you're driving is perfect for getting creative ideas, at least for me. It has
Yeah.
always been. So I'm driving along. I've been racking my brains. What is missing? What needs to happen with this shell of a song? I need something. Oh, I think actually I had sung the vocal. I did the vocal. So it was a guitar and vocal, but it needed something else to just lift it a little. And finally it hit me. I'm driving along and I go, oh, I know it's missing. What's missing is Stevie Wonder. And I tell people, there's a lot of songs that would sound a lot better with Stevie Wonder on them.
Right.
Yes.
And of course it was a ludicrous thought, but I believe in dreaming big.
Yeah.
I really do. I believe in just going for the top of what you can imagine. So I thought, well, it can't hurt to ask, because we all know that it can't hurt to ask. I asked Jim Gallagher because he was working with Stevie Wonder in L.A. at Wonderland, Stevie's studio out there. And I thought, you never know. I mean, I'll just ask. It was back in the beginning of my career. I have 30-something albums now. It was just my third for Rounder Records back a long time ago. And I had no right to think that someone like Stevie Wonder would ever, agree to be on my tiny record. But nonetheless, I asked, I said, Jim, do you think there's any way Stevie would play on my record? And he said, well, he said, it can't hurt to ask. So about a week later, I'm woken up by the phone. It's 1 a.m. on the East Coast. I answered the phone, hello, and it's Jim. And he said, guess what? I said, what? He said, Stevie said yes. So I leap out of bed. There were no cell phones. There were no way to book anything online. There was no internet. So I probably called I called the Amtrak. I made my way to L.A. immediately. We rented an expensive studio. We're sitting there in this gorgeous studio. Carrie Williams is there, who toured with Taj Mahal for years and years and years as a road manager. Even Carrie's father had been a road manager before him. So Carrie's there helping me produce the record. I'm trying to tune while I'm telling this story.
I know that one.
Yeah, right.
That is so hard for me.
Yeah. I don't want to ruin the song by launching off.
I know.
You can sort of do two things at once, but not really.
Drat. That one just keeps. So anyway, we're sitting there, and I'm thinking, somebody said, well, what makes you think Stevie Wonder's going to actually show up at your session? I said, well, I don't know. I said, but just in case he does, his whole trip is worth it. Jim gets on the phone. He calls up. Stevie says, you coming over? You know, a few minutes later, Stevie shows up. The door opens, and Calvin, Stevie's cousin, is bringing Stevie into the studio. And before Stevie got there, we were debating about, should we put drums on? No drums. Yes, drums. And I said, don't put drums on. Leave it totally wide open. Let him play anything and anywhere that he wants to play. I said, we'll just leave it, make it be whatever he wants. So when he walked in the door, I said, I felt supernaturally calm. Here he was, beautiful, gorgeous, radiant, like he has an aura, a golden aura. So I jumped up and I said, I didn't want to put any drums on this song before you played on it. I wanted to leave it wide open for you. And he said, whatever you want. He said, you're the artist. That gave me such support. I'm telling you, I almost died. I mean, I thought like, wow. If somebody like Stevie Wonder says, whatever you want, you're the artist. It was so much artistic support. It changed my life when he said that.
I love that.
Yeah. And so I went and stood with him in the studio. I stood right next to him, and he played the solo 3 times in a row, not because each one wasn't perfect, but he was being generous. He just did it 3 times in different ways to give us, like, tons of choices. And I started getting overwhelmed. I started thinking, like, oh, my God, I'm going to cry. No, don't cry. Be brave. And I'm standing next to him, and I'm looking at the glass in the control room, and I'm going, no, you can't cry. There's a lot of people in there, and they're all looking, and they're staring at you, and you can't make a fool of yourself and start crying. Finally, I said, I can't hold it back. And the tears rolled down like rain. I stood next to him. I said, I hope you don't mind if I'm crying. And he just was so kind to me. He didn't mind. And he was just such a sweet person. And at the end, Jim said, he won't let you pay him. We're going to get him a gift. So we brought him a beautiful leather bag that had a set of keys, new technology, where if you clapped, your keys would beep wherever you'd put them down. I know I need that. I need that. And he loved it. There's a picture in my book. There's a chapter for the recording with Stevie Wonder. And you can get the book on Amazon, by the way. And so he loved it. And I do have a little joke that I always tell here, but I might not tonight because we heard that Stevie Wonder had some health crises recently. And so I don't want to make light of that, and I haven't heard a follow-up. But we assume he's doing well. But what I always do say to audiences is the following. I said, Stevie says to say hello. He's sorry he couldn't make it here tonight, but he sends his best wishes, and everybody always likes that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Cool.
So this is a song that was the follow-up single to the other gold record in the Netherlands. This song came next onto the charts. Gypsy Boy. Gypsy ran away. Oh, I do have to take the headphones off. This is crazy because I can't hear it through. Let me start again. Take 2. Gypsy ran away to an island in the somehow, my love, sweet love, with berries in his mouth. Somewhere in the wind, he smells a sweet perfume, my love, sweet love, so in a tune. Do-do-do-do-do, hey, baby, do-do-do-do-do. Hey, baby, do-do-do-do-do. gypsy boy said you own my heart, you hold it anyhow. And your loving hand he carried beside you. In your sweet and lonesome land, and it's all that I can do to make it through. Do-do-do-do-do, hey baby, do-do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do-do, hey baby, do-do-do-do-do. Notes upon the strings, so lovely, while he's singing his song, his song. If only I had wings, yeah, yeah, I would fly away to his uncovered, yeah, my love, sweet love, love to hear him play. Do-do-do-do-do, hey baby, do-do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do-do, hey baby, hey do-do-do, hey baby, hey baby, yeah, hey do-do-do-do, hey baby, yeah, do-do-do-do-do.
Wow. When she gets her headphones.
Oh, yeah.
I got it.
Wow,
Rory.
wow, Rory, that's my favorite song of the night. And it's just
Such a great
wonderful.
hook.
Great hook.
We were both singing with you.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's
Oh,
it.
man.
The audiences in Europe that knew this song,
Oh,
well, they would
yeah.
all be swaying, and you know how the little lighters they
Yes.
put 'em up,
Oh,
and a
could
whole
totally
sea of-
see it.
Oh yeah.
And the song, it screams Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's-
it's
oh.
wonderful
Yeah.
that you felt that, and then you actually manifested
so
it. You
perfect.
actually got him to do it.
Just keep on dreaming big. What can I tell
you
you?
have
Yeah, well,
to.
that's another one of those spiritual laws, you know. I mean,
Yes, it is.
and it doesn't
You brought
happen if
him
you
to
don't
you.
dream, you
Yeah.
know. So you got to do it,
Yeah.
and very often it comes true. And if it doesn't come true, something else will. That's
Yeah.
just
Nice
the way it
point.
works. You know?
Nice
Yeah.
point. So we are able to encourage people. I think all three of us want to say, and you tell me if you agree, to the listeners, please be encouraged. Please dream big. Please
Yeah.
stay positive.
Yeah.
Please get everything good that you can from
Yes.
each challenge that we face, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and this time is a huge one. It's like you know, there's
Right.
so many challenges right now. I think in our country, in our individual lives, financially, emotionally, spiritually, and it's like there's so many opportunities there too.
There are, and the thing is, look, we all do what we can. Obviously, the election, we're all going to vote the way we can. We're going to do what we can to change
And we
the
hope
world.
that
to make
everybody
the way,
registers to vote.
make it the way we want and register to vote. But I think what I want to say, on an individual basis, again, it's like take what the defense gives you. With the COVID thing, the defense is saying, we're going to give you a lot of space and time. You know, and you're going to have to be isolated to a certain extent. You can't do the things you used to do the way you should do them, but you can do other things. You know, you can learn the guitar, you can write a book, you can do all these things you've been wanting
Right.
to do and meaning
It's
to do
so
for a while.
true.
So it's a great time for creativity and a great time to really go inside and take the time to that we can make ourselves better and ultimately have a better life for when this whole thing lets up, and it will let up at some point.
Yeah.
The fact that people around the world tune in to these broadcasts and to, all of our broadcasts, but and that people can say what's on their hearts. They can write in, and Rob reads me the questions on my broadcast, and we address things like we are tonight. And people actually open up about what their challenges are. That's really a profound opportunity for all of us.
Absolutely.
Wow. Thank you for sharing this time with us. We went a full 2 hours.
Wow, we sure did.
And that's great because
Fantastic.
it felt right. So, Rory Block, thank you. We're so
My
grateful
pleasure
to
and
have
my
had you.
honor. Thank you for calling Ben. Freebo called when we were on air, and Rob answered it. And it was
I know.
you.
And we were like, can you do it next week? And you were like, sure. We were like, whew.
You bet I can. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Well,
Rory.
Rory, I feel grateful that in my 50-year, half a century, God, hard to believe, this career, I've really met a lot of wonderful people. I've been very fortunate, and you certainly are in that group. And what I wanted to do when Alice and I talked about doing this show, we wanted to have a special guest each week, and we wanted to be able to do exactly what we did with you, which is go inside, find out what happened, how did this song happen, how did you learn to do what you do, what do you think, and you certainly delivered, and we really
for that.
appreciate that, and thank you so much for that, and thank you to Norm's Rare Guitars for giving us the opportunity to do this on your YouTube channel, and to Rockseller Magazine for sponsoring us. And once again, folks, just go to rocksellermagazine.com and just sign up for nothing. Just get it for free. Just get us. It'll come in your inbox every day. You don't have to read it. You can delete it if you want, but it's free. There are no catches whatsoever.
And also, I hope you'll follow Rory on Facebook. Follow me. It's Alice Howe Music. Freebo's at Freebo fan page, and Freebo Music on Instagram. Yeah, find us. Love to keep in touch with you all, and we hope to see you next week. And Rory, I guess we'll sign off.
Well, I'll miss you guys.
I know.
You guys.
Let's talk
call
soon.
Me.
Yeah, let's
We're going to call you
from the road.
We're going to call you from the road.
We'll do.
That's
Absolutely.
Promise.
And I'm going to
that's a
tune you
promise.
guys in on Wednesday night and see the guitar player that you were talking about.
Jack Williams
you-
next
you-
week.
You'll love
Wouldn't
him.
want
He's
to miss
Next
it.
Wednesday.
really
We'll
unique.
be there.
Yeah.
All right.
Beautiful.
Mwah. Bye,
Kisses.
Rory.
Kisses
Thank
and
you.
hugs. Bye.
And
And to
thank
your
you,
viewers
Rob.
and our
Yeah.
viewers.
Thanks
Thank you,
for your
Rob.
help,
They're
Rob.
saying.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank you to Rob.
Yes.
Yeah. He had his
And
headphones
thank you,
out.
Barb.
So
Thanks for having us. Really appreciate it.
Rob
Thanks,
said it's
Rob.
great to be a part of it, and he appreciates it.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Be safe.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Lots of love.
Love.
Bye, everybody.